Okay, welcome to today's recap. Um, yeah, the game didn't go well, as you can see, but yeah, we'll go through it. I was better throughout like the majority of the game, and then yeah, basically like I just lost control in the complications that arise. Okay, so I decided to go for a Sicilian today, and he went for this variation with c4, which is really not critical. I went for this with this line, which I believe is the main line, with bishop b4, e5. So yeah, this line is not critical for white because he's not in time um, to put pressure. Basically, like black just has a comfortable position. So often the idea is to take on c3. That's why he played bishop d2. For example, after like queen e2, I believe um, black can take on c3 or first maybe queen e7. I can't really recall. It might be like queen e7 first. But the point is that just we're trying to get this structure. This structure is pretty good, especially if you get c5 in as well. Um, and yeah, so he played bishop d2. I thought for a while and decided to go bishop c5, which I think makes sense. So what I was afraid about a3, about d6 is that he goes a3 and bishop c5, b4. I wasn't fully, convinced about this, but for white, but I didn't exactly know how to. I didn't know if I wanted to allow him to push his pawns like this. So here I keep the option open of going a5, which I anyways don't know if I would have used, right? Because he's got this knight a4 stuff and then some c5 business. But yeah, this might not be so great, but it's something to consider. I have some bishop a6 or d6 as well. Um, okay, so queen e2, d6 now. He went h3. There were some vague ideas of going knight g4, but I mean, probably doesn't do much. Um, okay, now I went for this knight e8, which I think is a good move. So I'm trying to just improve this knight. And at this point, it's kind of clear that he's not going for plans with f4 because he like he would just be weakening his pawn structure more than creating attacking chances. So something like this just feels quite decent for black. So instead he went knight a4 and now he went c5. So um yeah, I like my position quite a lot here. I was just gonna play knight c7, knight e6, maybe c5. I don't have to, so maybe I wouldn't touch that pawn. Yeah, this c5 move surprised me because he's just sacrificing the pawn. Okay, it's like temporary, but I can also go d5, and I'm not so sure about this. Um, like in general, I'm going to be giving him these two pawns here on the queen side, but if he takes, he gives me the center as well. Like now f5 is probably the way to go. So this could also be good, maybe even better than what I did. But I didn't see anything wrong with taking the pawn, especially because of, yeah, the game continuation. I thought that was just great for me. Something that I missed, which I was a bit more worried, or not worried, but I thought that it would simplify the game a little bit too much, is this bishop a5 move. Um, and then, and only then he'll take my pawn. So this just prevents like knight e6, and he'll actually take the knight. So something like this. Take on c5. And of course, I'm 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 quite fine here. There's nothing wrong with my position at all. But it's just a matter of how much of a fight is it gonna be, or is White just going to be able to cruise to a draw? And yeah, I'm not so sure. Like, I'm not sure if I would have gone for c5, which cements the bishop nicely, but also might create a weakness on c5, and give him some squares for the bishop. And yeah, I think I would have went for something like this, but I have this pawn on c6 that's quite weak. So I thought he would go for this variation, but he decided to take. Okay, this gives me the pawn on b2, but it's temporary because now he kicks the bishop, goes back, and I really shouldn't hold on to the pawn. Something like I don't know that there isn't even like a harmonious way to hang on to the pawn, but if I just give it away, he just gets a lot of activity with these two bishops, and my pawns aren't really going anywhere. I think that white should be comfortably better here. So yeah, I give back the pawn. This was still in my plans. And okay, maybe here we can start talking about what I think was the big problem with my game is that I just spent too much time on moves that are just automatic. For example, here I was trying to figure out the differences between playing knight e6 here and I don't know, some bishop b6, which yeah could just transpose, or queen h4, or bishop b7, bishop d7. And I think I was trying to be too precise, and I shouldn't. I should have just played bishop b6, but instead of spending 13 minutes, I should have spent 30 seconds, because yeah, it's just an automatic retreat, and it's not really going to change the position that much. Okay, queen h4 came, and around this moment, I started to feel really um, confident, also because he was also below on the clock. Because the main point is that what happened in the game, like I'm gonna go knight e6, knight f4. Okay, I just have to put the charger in the computer. Um, okay, this thing's stuck. There we go. So the main point is that I'm just bringing the knight around to f4. And what happened in the game, bishop e3, knight e6. If he takes on b6, I go knight f4, intermediate move, and then I'll take back on b6. And now my rook opens up, and I have some ideas on the king side as well. So I was liking my chances quite a bit here. He went knight c5, which I thought in the game couldn't be a good move. It turns out that, yeah, it's like the computer gives many moves that just hold a balance. This is one of them, but it's one of the trickier ones because it will allow some sacrifices that I went for in the game, which wasn't necessary for white, but still I think the position is a bit tricky. So what he wants is to trade everything after knight c5, bishop c5. Um, okay, if the internet can work, can it? Okay, bishop c5, bishop c5, rook c5. He just wants to trade everything like this. And okay, we're gonna shake hands briefly. Maybe even white has like slight pressure, so I'll do something a bit more intelligent, like bishop b7 or something, and I will trade pieces like this instead. Um, yeah, but okay, let me just see if I can switch, if I can change the internet, um, the network. Yeah, we could also trade pieces like this, and I thought we were just heading for a draw here. This is definitely one of the problems of playing opens, is that you're always having to push for a win, and a lot of people, like not everyone, thankfully, but a lot of people just try to force a draw with white, with black, doesn't matter. It's annoying, but it's part of the life of a chess player. So the thing is that um, I can take with the bishop and go knight f4, and I think he blundered this because he spent, what is it, like 8 minutes on knight c5, then I took and he spent another 2 minutes on bishop c5, which doesn't make any sense because the alternative is to just give an exchange up in one move, right? And here black should be completely winning. Or much better, I guess. And yeah, I think he blundered it because this looks really scary, especially once you start seeing ideas with bishop h3, which are always in the air. Okay, and now the game gets really complicated. I didn't go for this immediately. The rook's also hanging on f8. Okay, so a lot of stuff is going on. So the first thing is that he cannot take here because I'll take bishop g2, and now I hit the queen and there's mate. Okay. If he takes the knight immediately, I believe this is possible. Like I always have a draw in the pocket, of course, but I wanted to play for more. And yeah, I think I ended up sidestepping this variation because in the game variation, basically we had this, but with a bishop on c4. Like I went rook d8 here, bishop c4. There was another line, by the way. Yeah, there's many lines to consider, which also was making me spend a lot of time. But here I think it was time well spent. The problem is just that I already have like too little time to navigate these complications. But one thing is that I can go for, or maybe was it back here, like bishop b7. No, I think it was rook d8, bishop b7, um, rook c7, and on some line I'm taking on e4. Maybe it's here, like knight d3 first, maybe something like this. Yeah, there was basically some line where this happened. Um, and yeah, it might have been here. Not sure. Probably with bishop b7 first. Yeah, sorry about the confusion. Probably this. Um, and yeah, I think that it's just very equal, even though I want a pawn. Like he's hitting my rook and this pawn as well. It's probably just going to be another draw. And so I went rook d8 and now bishop h3. So this inclusion I thought favored me because now in the same line I have this rook c8. Rook c8, and when he trades, now I'm hitting both the bishops. But yeah, this got way more complicated than that. Okay, so the first thing is that this rook c8 move completely blunders bishop takes f7, which I missed, and so did my opponent. And the problem is that I cannot take because there's this queen b3, which is a nice like geometrical motif. The knight cannot block, and the king is cut off everywhere, so it has to go to e8, and this is probably just gonna be mate with queen g8. So this I cannot do, which means that I would have to sidestep it, and now in the same line, my play just doesn't make sense at all because my whole point was that both the bishops were lined up on the c file, right? So okay, he takes. He goes rook b1. I expected this. I cannot take because there is a back rank mate, so I go h6. Now he goes rook c1 after thinking for some more time. So, you know, if he wanted to do this, probably he should have played rook c1 immediately. It doesn't make sense to give me this luft, but yeah, rook c1, rook c6, and way back there when I played bishop h3, I roughly ended my calculations around here, but I overestimated my chances quite a bit. I thought I was I had a lot of compensation, but it's not so simple after all. Because his king is just running away to f1 in all the lines. And yeah, the rook on g6 is not that big a threat. So he played bishop e3. And around here, okay, we're both in time trouble, and a lot of blunders started to come in. So bishop e3 was the first one, which is surprising because it's the move I expected, and it's just a move that solidifies the position and so on. But I had a very strong move here, which was rook f6, so threatening knight h3. I didn't go for this for some reason. I can't recall what it was. There was some reason that I decided against this. But yeah, if he takes, we take on f4. He cannot cover the g file because of the pin, so he has to go somewhere else, and then we take on e4. So I think the computer might have been giving some queen e3 or something. He has to be careful not to get mated with rook g4, queen h1. Yeah, now that I look at it, I can't even. Yeah, it might have been like this, rook e4, and and yeah, black is winning. Um, it's not that simple, but if you see that you're getting e4 and you still have this check and queen h1, yeah, you're probably going for this. So there is something I missed there. I decided to go for this check first. Or maybe what I saw, yeah, what I saw is that I thought this was actually good for me, or interesting. Like you're not sure in time trouble, right? But I thought this was interesting because there's ideas of taking on f2 all the time. For example, if queen g2, I just have rook g6, or not immediately, not rook g6 immediately because he's got bishop f7 here, and then rook c7, and he collects the rook. But yeah, like king h7 first, and I wasn't sure what to make of this. Like, I'm probably threatening rook g6, even though it's not that big of a threat anyways, but at least to try and repeat. Again, at this point, the game was already a bit completely out of control. Um, because it turns out that way back here, like, I just had to claim the draw with the perpetual. It turns out that there was nothing more, which is really surreal to me. Even all the way back here, even with this knight c5, the computer just gives zeros, which is quite insane. But yeah, it happens. So I went for this check and rook f6, and he played this bishop takes f7, which, yeah, this was one of those crazy moments in chess when mutual blindness occurs. What that means is that both players miss like the same thing, and in this case, it's very basic. So I had seen this bishop f7 thing when I played knight h3 here, I think. Maybe even when I played rook c6, I'm not sure. And yeah, I saw that I cannot take with the rook because he gives this check, and it's similar to the other motif, and now the rook just falls. So I thought that I just had to go king h7, and I thought this won as well, at least one back some material. So I went for this instantly, as you can see by the time management. Somehow we both missed that I can take with a king, and it's very simple. It's extremely basic. There's nothing else to it. Like this check is harmless. We both just missed that I can take with a king, which is quite insane, actually, quite insane. But again, it happens in time trouble. Like if I had 40 minutes here, yeah, I would have been pissed. 3 minutes is still plenty to see this. But it really doesn't help that, like, I thought that king h7 was winning back the bishop because I threatened the queen, the bishop, and when he moves the queen, I'll have this idea with rook takes f2. So the problem is he found this freaking resource with queen h5, and he wins, which is perhaps a bit unfair, but okay. Um, Fairness is a relative concept in chess. It's the position that matters at the end of the day. And I was reaching for the rook like immediately when he played this to play rook takes f2 because I thought he blundered. But he was already reaching with his king to go to e1. So I realized that this was probably his intention. So I stopped to think for a bit and then ended up going for rook f2 um, either way because I miscalculated something. Yeah, here you can really tell by the last couple of moves that nerves were really high around this point. But so his point is that he goes king e1, and now there's no discovered checks because he just takes my queen all the time, and there's no useful way to give up the rook anywhere. So here the game is just over actually. And the last point is, which is quite important. is that I cannot move the queen because he goes like queen g6. And after this trade, he picks up the rook, and he's just a whole rook up. And it's important that he plays queen g6 because what I missed, like I calculated for a bit, like 1 minute, which is not a lot, but what I missed is that he can play queen g6 because I only thought about bishop g6, where if I take, we transpose, but here I can go king h8, I thought. And I think, yeah, there's still bishop takes f2. I'm still probably lost. But, or maybe I can find some miraculous perpetual check there. It could be. It could be that there's some miraculous perpetual check here. Queen f2, king d1, queen d4. And yeah, it might be a draw. It might be a draw, right? Check, check, check. Maybe. Yeah, looks like it. Anyways, the point is that he cannot mate me because I have this counter check. Anyways, all this is flawed because he has queen g6. So I noticed that. I played rook f4, but here the game is just completely over because I'm down a piece. And yeah, I have two pawns for the piece, but the bishop pair is just really strong. The knight is in a terrible place. And the pawns just don't... this one is falling as well, so there's a lot of problems. Yeah, the game here is just over. And it just ended like this, knight f4. And I mean, I didn't even understand what he wanted with bishop c5. He was setting up this mating net here with rook f8. Yeah, so, I mean, there's a couple things to this, a couple remarks about this game. So I think that I was completely in my right to think that the sacrifice would work. And I don't really blame myself for taking time here. After all, you are sacrificing a piece. And okay, like it's fair that I thought that here I had some, like I haven't enough compensation. I should have seen like bishop f7 here and some other stuff along the way, but the main problem ends up being like this. For example, spending 15 minutes here, deciding to go for bishop c5. So I could have just taken, played knight f4 fairly quickly, and thought in this position, because here there's a lot of options. But you shouldn't spend 15 minutes on one move, then spend 4 minutes on the next move, and 2 minutes on the next one. You should just make up your mind and go a bit faster afterwards. Here, spending 13 minutes was too much as well. And these things add up. Like you think it's a classical game, you have so much time, but these 7 minutes, 10 minutes, 13 minutes really add up. Like I think that 13 minutes here was too long of a thing. And this is one thing where I can definitely improve on, like even tomorrow in my next game, like making these easy decisions quicker instead of trying to play I don't know, like the absolute best move, the 100% accuracy move. Because I ended up going for bishop b6 anyways, which is a move that I would have played in a bullet game. And these decisions to take a bit longer really add up. And then you don't have time to calculate in the critical moments, which is basically what happened. I mean, I still think it's unfair that there's nothing more than a draw here. But at the end of the day, I got my chances, right? I got my chances. One, here I had this rook f6. If I had like 10 minutes on the clock here or more, I would have probably been able to figure out the difference between like rook f6 here or knight h3 first. And secondly, okay, this blunder with bishop f7, I'm not even sure what I can attribute it to. It definitely has to do with nerves, but I think these things are just bound to happen from time to time. It's really unfortunate when they happen to you, but yeah, because it's such a Patzer's mistake. But okay, the opening was good. The middle game was good in general. I'm not so unhappy with the game. Let me just check here. Okay, I was wondering, I was choosing between DC5 or D5. The computer wants to go F5. Wow, that's crazy. F5, C takes D6, F4. Wow, that is quite something. So, oh, he doesn't like D5 at all. Is there some huge problem? Bishop C3. Let me take. And E4, there's knight takes E4. Okay, interesting. And if I just like sort of, oh, F6, he's got knight takes D5. Okay, so it seems to be like a bit concrete. Let's just say there's no knight takes D5. He goes like B4. Yeah, the computer still loves white's queenside pawns. Yeah, it could be if he trades the bishops. Makes sense. And what I played in the game, yeah, this is fine. Yeah, I was expecting bishop E3 here as well, but I thought this move queen A5 was kind of strong. I guess. Okay, I definitely did not consider queen C2. Just destroying his own structure like this. But okay. Yeah, it wasn't such a bad game. I feel like the main takeaway is that I have to play faster in easy moments, easy moves, and yeah, training calculation. Yeah, so that's it for today, and I'll see you guys tomorrow with the next recap. Bye.